I'm going to end by getting into the debate that's been stirred up by Mr. Murthy, saying that this is India's time and that, this is a generation that needs to work maybe 70 hours. Maybe he didn't mean it literally in that way, but this is the time for hard work. As leaders today, who are looking at work-life balance, we're also dealing with a workforce that believes very strongly and firmly at having a work-life balance. We've gone through a phase of work from home to flexi work to hybrid work. Now companies telling people to come right back to work. How do you look at productivity, as we hope to sort of unleash India's potential over the next decade? Rohit, I'll start by asking you.
So I think we are blessed with great talent and a great culture. And we do believe in flexibility, and we believe in trusting our people. And so we have a hybrid model. That said, we judge people by outcomes, not by number of hours they put in. I think our people do work very hard. I must say, even we don't count it, but we know that they work very, very hard. And there's a whole spirit of driven to achieve something that's above the excellence, and it's just how our people are wired. But that said, we also value equally mental well-being as a very important ingredient to making sure we have a healthy workplace. And we have many, many years of tradition of having infrastructure that supports that conversation. We are open about it. We have people who can champion and support people in the workplace. So we do accept that, like any other family, there'd be people going through stages where they need some help. So at the same time, by and large, I think it's really about having an open culture, trusting our people, basically driven intrinsically from their own desire to do well. And I think we're blessed in that sense as a Hindustani reliever.
Anish, how are you looking at this problem? And specifically as an employer and as an employer of young people, how do you address this?
I think it's very important for each person to have a balance that works for them. And as a personal example, over the years, I've always tried to keep weekends for family. And that has been so important for me. And today, as I look back, I'm very glad I did that, because I don't have that regret that I didn't spend time with my kids when they were growing up. And now they've grown up and are not in the home anymore. So that balance is very important for each person to keep. It's also for each person to decide how that balance changes over time. And at times, you will work hard. At times, you might want a little more balance from a work-life standpoint. And hard work is essential. So I'm not going to say that, it's okay to sit back and have a great balance and expect your career to go very well. So I think it's a combination of both of those things. From an organization standpoint, it's very important that the organization understands what each person wants at what point in time in their life and is open to providing that flexibility. And that is something that, as Mahindra, we are doing in multiple ways. We rolled out a maternity policy recently, which is, I would say, among the best in the world in terms of what it offers. It's a 5-year policy that gives women flexibility over that time period. And what we are doing with multiple groups inside is to understand what are their needs and be able to address them in terms of what they need at that point.
Let me head to Shyam, Srinivasan and Zarin. I do want to address the gender parity issue as well. Shyam, Srinivasan, unleashing productivity, work-life balance as a leader, how are you looking at this?
I know I'm going to become terribly unpopular, but I don't believe in this line of work-life balance. And I'm not saying it in light. I think it's probably integration. People have to figure it out themselves best. You can't expect the lifestyle of your grandson with the salary of your grandfather. Let's be clear about it. You have to put in the hard yards. Find the best way to do it. Do it at home, do it at work, where the location agnostic. But to believe that I will not put in gone are the days of entitlement. You can't sit back and expect everything to come to you. So I have long maintained the case that you have to put in that effort, be smart about it, and don't get fussed about work-life balance. I think this 9 to 5 and then I'll go out. You can't be happy in your personal life if your professional life sucks or the otherwise. Right? We are human beings. You can't distance yourself from yourself. So we have to come to terms with that. I know many youngsters struggle with this idea of how to resolve. I think institutions, like both of them mentioned, have created enough platforms to advise, guide, coach, counsel. And we must do that continuously. But I would strongly, whether it's 70, 67, 60 hours of work is not relevant. I think you have to believe that you have to find the best integration between these two and give it everything. If you want the results, and If the passion is not there, do something else.
Yeah. Fair enough. Zarin, especially, to ensure that we have more women in the workforce.
I'll just add, sorry, we have 41% of my workforce is women.
Well,
right, and I don't know.
That's good to hear. Big round of applause to you, and we hope that we see more and more organizations moving towards gender parity. But
my women are very happy at work.
Yes.
So we have certain policies, and now we have paternity leave. So even that is something that most organizations don't have. We have introduced. But we have creches in our buildings. So for example, in Bandra Prime Place, we have a creche. So we have the support system for women. And I mean, if somebody is having a personal issue and wants to work from home, it's fine. But it's more about supporting the person at different stages is what we focus on.
Yeah.
May I add something here?
Yes, please.
You know, I'm actually hopeful about this for your nation. I've watched the evolution of the workforce in many different countries around the world, and sometimes it hasn't worked out so hot. But the fact that you still have a population dividend that is willing to have aspirations, have a reasonable amount of hard work to achieve that, and with a generation that hopefully is also looking to have values that are consistent with what we're trying to save. You know, climate, electric vehicles, diversity. If your young workforce that is the fastest growing population at the scale in the world gets the balance of all of that right, that'll be a real source of competitive advantage for India in the world, because others haven't gotten this right. Well,
so let's ask the younger people on this panel for their views. And yes, Sandhya, you've got the mic already, yes, waiting to start. So go ahead.
Look, I think we have to go back to, if we want to be an $8 trillion economy, it's not going to come if women aren't equally participating in that, which means we have to build the support systems that enable them to participate in the workforce equally. And that's not, I'm not saying 70 hours is good or bad, but I'm saying the system has to work for everyone. It has to work for, people taking care of young families, men and women, right? Not just, look at a work lens. I know certainly, for us as a company, we've invested a lot in terms of the policies we've rolled out. So we have both maternity and paternity leave. We have bereavement leave. If you have had miscarriage, the support there. So we also believe in hybrid work. So we've really invested a lot in making it easier for people to be productive even when they're working from home. So I think all of that comes back to what we measure. As a company, we measure impact in terms of what we're delivering. So I don't think it comes back to the number of hours. I certainly think that if, I was a young mother a long time ago, but, I'm glad that I stuck, and I'm glad that the company that I worked with had policies that enabled me to stay in the workforce. That's the thing that we should be measuring, not whether you're putting in 70 hours at work, whether, we have everyone participate and not drop off over the course of the years.
So, Nikhil, we've gone from moonlighting now to work-life balance, which is stirring up all sorts of debates and conversations. Your point of view as a young entrepreneur and investor.
Shireen, there is so much virtue signaling in the world. We saw earlier that ads have started doing it as well. Let me not say what is better or what is worse. I feel like there is so much precedent to 4-day work weeks, to the socialist-leaning policies of some Nordic Scandinavian countries, or history for that matter too, to have shown that that form of ecosystem does not work as well as capitalism, not just for a category of people, but for the whole country at large. I think the government has done a great job of recognizing that. Lower tax rate, 25% for corporates, is a great step in the right direction. So if we are all agreed on the fact that capitalism is the way to go, the very thing at the core that we need to cherish or celebrate is competitiveness. And everybody has to compete with everybody. I think net for society at large, that is what is required. So if you want to go out and compete by virtue of the number of hours you work, you should be able to do so, I think.
Sure, fair enough. Mithun?
Actually, I'm more the integration guy. I think work-life integration is one thing. But I'm going to, reflect. There's something that I keep reflecting back on, and we have a workforce which at an average age of 29. We see many people who possibly have a child around this point, or just, this whole system of, when you get promotions and you go up as well also, it puts you on a race. And that's what creates, I feel, a big chunk of problems. If you really think it was about the job that you do and the role that you want to play at that point, and it allows you to expand at certain points and take a couple of years, step back, and then come back to expand again, I think it won't put you on that race to say, I have to become a vice president. Anyways, what does a vice president in one company mean to another company? But for whatever reason, we don't give flexibility of role, and it's not role-based, right? It's the delivery is based on the title that you get as well also.
Yeah.
And it doesn't allow people to ever step off that. And I think that is one fundamental problem that people need to think about and sort of solve as well.
That's a deep conversation to be had, which requires a fair amount of introspection, but that's a very valid point that you make. Abhinav, seriously, looking at it from your lens, with the kind of dedication, passion, purpose that you were driven by, I mean, how do you view this issue going forward?
I'll give you my own example. I achieved many goals in my life. I won a gold medal at the Olympics. I won a world championships, blah, blah, blah. But I failed, and I failed miserably in achieving my fullest potential. And looking back, I attribute that failure to a lack of balance I had. For far too long, I dehumanized my pursuit. And I am absolutely of the firm belief that to sustain success, and to sustain success for a long period of time, human well-being has to be at the heart and the center of performance.
I don't think we could have ended on a more beautiful note than that. There is so much food for thought here that each one of you have shared with us. So thank you so much for giving us lots to think about. I'm going to end by asking each one of you for one word. Manny, I'm going to start by asking you, India in 10 years, what's the one word that comes to your mind that you would associate with that picture?
Important.
Shyam?
Don't give me one word, I'll say one sentence. The IPL statement goes, if talent meets opportunity, India is that. Talent has met opportunity. So India has got a bright future.
Abhinav?
Sport.
Sport. Zarin?
Resilient.
Resilient. Rohit?
World power.
Global leader.
Arrived.
Important.
Thriving superpower.
Thriving superpower, arrived, built on power, passion, perseverance, and resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, what an absolute pleasure. Thank you very, very much for joining us here for the 19th edition of the India Business Leader Awards. As I promised, we will reveal the winners, but in a little bit from now, from all of us here on this special broadcast, thanks very much for watching.